Hey, it's Comic Artist Pro Secrets. This is Ethan Van Sciver, your host, artist for DC Comics for about 20 years or so. I don't know, about 20 years. Hey, welcome to commentary for Green Lantern Rebirth number 5. We've done 1 through 4, so let's get to 5. Written by Jeff Johns. I'll tell you, a man and a half right there. Ethan Van Sciver. Prentice Rollins is the inker. This cover right here was done very quickly. I was at a convention in Texas, and I think it was a Wizard World show, and somebody from DC Comics was there, a representative, maybe the assistant editor or some assistant editor, and they needed this cover right away. It needed to get sent to the colorist, Peter Steigerwald, so it could make the catalog, and I had to finish this cover up in my hotel room. And I remember literally like handing this cover off to an assistant editor who actually came up to my hotel room and pounded on the door like that. So that's the hurry that we were in to get this book finished. The cover was it the last thing? It might have been the last thing to do for this particular book. Anyway, I do remember that vividly. Here we are. Hal Jordan has just come back from the dead. Kyle Rayner looks gruesome, absolutely gruesome. Here's a shot of Hal Jordan's fist and his ring that got reused and recycled in several places. I think it was used in the gigantic hardcover edition of Green Lantern Rebirth. Yeah, and here's our guy, and he looks cool. You know, it's like this is the kind of shot that you would want to make bigger. I think I deliberately wanted to kind of just subdue it a little bit just to show the scene. I mean, we've had a close-up, we've had an extreme close-up, and then we need an establishing shot, and that's usually not the way things go. I mean, traditionally in comics, you do establishing shot, another like a broad establishing shot, then a kind of closer establishing shot with characters inserted, and then close-up. But Jeff has written this in a different way, which is maybe more exciting. So you open up and you see close-up of Kyle in pain. You see a close-up of the ring, and then you hit the establishing shot where you actually get a full-figure shot of Hal Jordan, and you've got a full-figure shot of Sinestro. You've got our other two heroes that are they've been dispatched, and the whole place is on fire. And, Sinestro looks on. Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to do much with him here. I mean, I think another artist would have had him just furious or something. No, it's just Sinestro has dignity. He is angry. He's angry in his heart. He's angry in his head. He's not angry on his face. That's not what Sinestro does, at least not right away. And this was something else. We had the moon base that I got to draw again, the JLA moon base that was in all of the Justice League books at the time. I loved it. And then boom, just we're going to show how hard Sinestro has hit Hal Jordan in a series of long pancake panels. Bounce, and then another bounce as moon dust gets kicked up, and then pow, just deposited there. And yeah, oh, it's good to be back. Good to be back already. You've only been alive for 30 seconds, and you've already taken a really hard hit to the face, and living feels good. And here comes one of the best shots of Sinestro in the whole series. Furious now. Now there's rage on his face. Now he's coursing with yellow energy, and he's coming at Hal Jordan, who's trying to get his ring to work. His ring's good. It's 99.4. That's not bad. If your iPhone said 99.4, you'd be like, all right, I'm good in charge, ready to take a jog. Slams into Hal. We've got all these wonderful, colorful effects, like fireworks popping everywhere. This is all just stuff I'm developing as I'm drawing this book. So much of drawing a Green Lantern is about the effects. And then we take our extreme long shots, okay, away from the moon as these tiny little streaks of light dance around each other and end up twisting. And I like this panel especially. It's just twisting and turning together, just hitting each other. And in and out of meteors, and just random chunks of planet floating around here. Looks like Sinestro bounced off of one there. And yeah, my Emerald Girl is waiting for me, throttling like an F-16. He missed that ring, and it's working for him. He can pilot that ring just as easily as he can an F-16. And here he's got Sinestro in a headlock. Sinestro is engaging with Hal Jordan physically, something he wouldn't do with anyone else. He's actually fighting. He's getting his hands dirty. He's fighting. He'll only do that for Hal. He feels, strongly about him. Here's a big, again, I talk about King Arthur, and this is, Excalibur. I mean, being unleashed on Sinestro here. Just a big shot. Sends him reeling, and then, coming right back with shards of just vicious yellow energy. Yeah. This took a while to draw right here, where Hal's will actually breaks individual shards of yellow energy. Just that took a long time to draw. He doesn't just use a shield to protect him the way Kyle did. He actually disrupted the entire onslaught one at a time, all at once. So it's pretty impressive. You are a murderer. So here we go back to the moment where Hal Jordan first met Sinestro. Nice plane here. I probably just lightboxed it. It's like at some point, if you're just doing an establishing shot of an airplane, it's not doing anything. It's not in action. It's just kind of, it's not like it has UFOs chasing it. So it's not a character. It's an establishing shot. So I think I just probably traced that. I might have traced this too. I'm going to just lightbox that from something. I don't know if I would... maybe. I can't remember. But then immediately we get into this interesting shot here. You can see Hal through his eyes widened as he sees a man just standing in space. And then we reverse the shot. I mean, that would be a weird thing to see. Be a very strange thing to see. And then boom. Airplane just explodes. Like, you wouldn't think that would happen. You think that Sinestro would be cut into rivets, but no. He explodes the entire plane and captures Hal, who is furious. That was an expensive plane. Here's Green Lantern. Here's Green Lantern Sinestro. Still arrogant. I mean, even back then. Superior officer. And that was when they first met. And now back to the current moment. And they're flying into the rings of Saturn. This was fun to do because they say that Saturn's rings are made up of just chunks of rock and ice. So, inward, and then the further we go out, we can just see. I mean, they're just chunks of ice, and they're not all that close to each other. But this was just dynamite. So fun to draw these tiny little panels. Tons and tons of just rocks circling around as Hal Jordan and Sinestro do this kind of insane, angry, but beautiful kind of ballet dance of light in between these chunks of rock. And this is, I always said Hal Jordan would make very practical constructs. If all he wanted to do was take these two rocks and smash them against Sinestro, we'll just make two big rods here that'll push those two rocks together. Why be cute and funny about it? That's not who Hal Jordan is. That's who Kyle Rayner is. That's who Guy Gardner is in a way. Hal Jordan's not playing around. He's just he's finding the right tool to get the job done. And plus, I think constructs are boring. Like really elaborate constructs are boring. I mean, it seems like they're going to be cool, but when you're watching the actual book happen, it's frustrating because it feels silly. Like, it feels like they're not taking it seriously. And so that's what he does. He smashes the two boulders, the asteroids, against Sinestro. Sinestro is just fine. Didn't hurt him at all. Nice shot. Again, just the amount of rock and ice in Saturn's rings. And he's gonna, he's talking about how he's gonna go kill Kyle, but no. Shunk. This is a great shot here, and this became important. Jeff didn't ask for this. I think I did this on my own. I thought it would be good revenge for Kyle to stick arrows in Sinestro's back in the shape of a flaming Green Lantern symbol that would likely leave a scar. And we see that scar for the first time in Sinestro Corps War Special #1. We see that it actually did scald him and leave him disfigured. These effects, I mean, you know, the stuff all around Kyle Rayner here is just me. I don't even know, just experimenting. It's like, okay, so he's got these lines down the side of his arm, so we're gonna pull those out, and on his legs we're gonna pull those out, and you know, everything's about a ring. He's got these two symbols, pull those out. Just making interesting patterns around these characters all the time. The change and are always interesting to look at. And now we pinned Sinestro down to this rock, this asteroid, and the arrows have pierced him through the other side, come out his chest, but he breaks out. And we copy these two panels. They're reversed. They're so close. I mean, they're in so many ways they have so much in common. They're just opposites at the same time. It's tragic. And then kaboom, we slam those rings together. That's what you'd want to do. You just want to slam those rings together. And yeah, he breaks his ring. And Sinestro disappears, but he's disintegrating, but he smiles as he goes, and all that's left is teeth and an eyeball and a couple of vertebrae. And that's the kind of stuff I like to draw. So now we're victorious. I'm still only penciling at this point. I remember this panel here was something that annoyed me because there was a lot of rendering on this face. A lot of line work. You can see, like, on the lips and right under here, you can see that that's very strange. Like, why is his face so bare in terms of, you know, line work and shading when his lips are so nicely shaded? The editor got sick of it. The editor decided this was too detailed. He did not like all the hatching on his face, and he actually had the inker remove it. Which, you know, hey, Pete, I mean, he'll sit there. I think he said something like, they look like train tracks on his face. I was like, okay. That bothered me. I don't think I complained too much. I just kind of gave him a what? And he never did it again. But yeah, so you know, that stands out to me. That looks weird. And here we go for the first time. You know, we have Hal and Kyle meeting, and you can't repeat this enough. I mean, you gotta just, whenever you can, embed the symbol in there. And fortunately, I'm someone who likes to hide messages in my work, and so things like this come very natural to me. Ways to find ways to hide the Green Lantern logo in backgrounds. Yeah, and Kyle and Hal are sorting each other out here, like who's who and where do I fit in and all that. And Hal lets him know. He's like, you're a Green Lantern. You're on the team, which is very pleasing to Kyle. In the meantime, Parallax has infected Ganthet, and look at this mess. I mean, a parallaxized Ganthet. Yeah, enormous. He's looking a lot more like the creature than Hal Jordan did when he was infected. I mean, he's got the big broad shoulder pads and everything, but he's also got the weird cricket legs. And you know, this is Batman's kind of having an I told you so moment here. Rings aren't working. So here come our guys, and this is the first time I think I just decided these were sirens. You know, this could be making a noise. I don't know if it's making a noise, but it's rotating around like a police siren, and we start to do multiple Green Lantern symbols coming off of them. It's impressive. It means this is an emergency. Kilowatt looks great here. They all do. This is a good panel. Yeah, working out what to do about Ganthet. And then suddenly, as they're about to pull together as a team to deal with this monstrosity, they're all together here, all of our guys. I like to call them the Fantastic Five. I really think even though Kilowog isn't an Earthling, he belongs on this team with this squad. He's just that familiar. And here comes a Batarang. And of all the nerve, Batman, I'll tell you. This page was done really quickly, surprisingly enough, because again, I'm trying to meet that deadline. I remember just, putting Hal Jordan in the foreground here. So much of his costume was black. So many of these other figures are half drawn and hidden. I mean, look, Kyle's mouth isn't there. Guy Gardner is just a sliver of a shape there. John Stewart is barely there. He's just indicated by his hands. Kilowog is kind of there. And the Justice League is very, very small. Batman is just a shape. So I think this page must have taken 4 hours to pencil and just to get it in. But you can't really tell. I mean, if I didn't tell you that, you wouldn't have realized it. I think this is a pretty effective closing splash page for this issue. And then the last issue, issue 6, I came back as inker for at least half of that issue. I just said, I want to ink this stuff, and they kind of let me. And here we go. Yeah, let's talk about Prentice Rollins and a guest spot from Mick Gray, who had inked me on Hawkman number 13. So, he might have inked this. In fact, this kind of does look like Mick Gray rather than Prentice, but I could be wrong there. And Pete Tomasi pulling line work off of faces this time. Not thrilled about it, but still, he was really, really great. And he is still really, really great. This is the other stuff that was going on at the time. I remember Rags Morales had finished Identity Crisis, and we're good friends, and he was moving over to Wonder Woman. He was very excited about drawing Wonder Woman, but Greg Rucka had put a blindfold over her eyes for his entire run. And I said, just ask Greg to take the blindfold off. Like, your original art isn't going to be worth anything, because who wants to buy a piece of original Wonder Woman art where you can't see her eyes? And he's like, I don't know. But he did it, and there you go. That's just the luck of the draw. Your entire run of Wonder Woman has her with a blindfold over her face. Things happen. Here's the ad for Green Lantern Rebirth number 6. We're almost done. And this is one of the most iconic Green Lantern covers that I've ever done. It could be one of the most iconic Green Lantern covers ever. I mean, it gets used an awful lot. And I remember my thought process for drawing this and composing it, and we'll talk about that next time. And yeah, DC, look at this. DC is just on the move right now. Marvelous stuff at this point in time. And I don't think they've really slowed down since, but Green Lantern Rebirth, with Identity Crisis and really the Dan DiDio's first moves as EIC at DC Comics, really things were feeling great. We were stepping into some unfamiliar territory. But at the same time, I think we were restoring, important things that were missing. And Dan brought a lot of energy and enthusiasm to his time. His early days at DC Comics. A lot of it. I mean, everybody was excited. And here it's a story 3 years in the making. Countdown. Countdown begins. Dan was always cooking up something. Always. He still is. All right, so there you go. Hal Jordan is back. He's fighting Sinestro. Green Lantern Rebirth number 5. What'd you think of that? You have any thoughts? I mean, what are your questions and comments? Why don't you leave them in the comment section below? Also, please do hit the subscribe button if you haven't yet. I really appreciate that, and ring that bell for notifications, and you'll always know. You'll know first when I put a new video up. Alright guys, this is Comic Artist Pro Secrets, and I have been Ethan Van Sciver since 1974, and I'll see you again later. Bye.